Every day, your hand turns a small piece of metal. It makes a soft click. You do not think much about it. You lock your door when you leave home. You lock your bag. You lock your phone. This small action feels normal, almost invisible. But once, long ago, no one in the world had ever locked anything. If you have ever carried a key in your pocket, tell me in comments what it opens for you. And if this quiet history speaks to you, you can stay with us. Let's begin the story. This story begins thousands of years ago, in hot lands near rivers, in places where cities first grew. People built homes from mud and wood. They stored grain, which is dry food like wheat. Grain meant life. It meant survival during winter. And when you have something valuable, you want to protect it. In ancient Mesopotamia, around 4,000 years ago, someone made a new kind of tool. It was not a sword, not a bowl, not a wheel. It was a wooden lock. This was the first known lock in human history. It was simple but clever. Inside a wooden door there was a bar. A bar is a long piece of wood that slides across to block the door. In the bar were small holes. Above the bar were wooden pins. Pins are small sticks. They fell down into the holes. When the pins dropped, the bar could not move. The door stayed closed. Then came the key. The key was also wood. It looked like a large brush with teeth. When you pushed it into the door, the teeth lifted the pins. Once the pins were lifted, the bar could slide. The door opened. It sounds almost like a game, but it was serious. This was not about hiding toys. It was about food, about safety, about trust. Imagine the first person who used it. A farmer, a trader, someone who stored grain inside a small room. He closed the door. He pushed the wooden bar into place. Then he used this new tool to lock it. Perhaps he felt something new, a sense of control, a sense of power over space. For the first time, humans could say, "This is mine, and I can protect it." This idea changed daily life. Before locks, safety came from community, from people watching each other. After locks, safety could live inside a door. The Egyptians later improved the design. They made locks that were more detailed, still made of wood, still using pins, but more complex. The more pins, the harder it was to open without the right key. A lock was not small. It was big and heavy. Some were as long as an arm. Keys were large too. They were carried on the shoulder like a tool. You could see who had authority. Who controlled a space? The key was a symbol. A symbol means a sign that stands for something bigger. The key stood for power. In ancient Rome, something changed. Metal became more common. Iron and bronze replaced wood. Roman craftsmen were skilled workers. They made smaller locks, more precise, more personal. Roman keys were small enough to wear on a finger. Some were shaped like rings. You could lock a small box, a chest, a cabinet. This meant people now had private objects, letters, coins, personal items. Privacy slowly entered human life. Before this time, most things were shared. Families lived closely together. There were few secrets, but a lock creates a quiet space. A space only you can enter. I think this is one of the most beautiful things about human nature. We build walls, yes, but we also build doors. And then we invent keys to open them. Locks show two sides of us, fear and trust. We fear loss. We trust the small metal tool to help us. As cities grew, so did crime. In Rome, there were thieves. There were crowded streets. Wealth created risk. And where there is a lock, there will always be someone trying to break it. This is where the story becomes a little sad. For every lockmaker, there was a lockbreaker. A person who studied how locks worked. A person who learned to trick the pins. These early lockpickers were skilled. Lockpicking means opening a lock without the key. It became a silent battle. Makers and breakers. Protection and invasion. In the Middle Ages, this battle continued. Blacksmiths were metal workers who shaped iron with fire and hammers. They made locks that were not just useful, but beautiful, covered in patterns, flowers, shapes. Locks became art. Castles had heavy doors. Churches had iron gates. Large chests held gold and documents. Documents are written papers that prove ownership or rights. The key grew in meaning. In some towns, the mayor held the city key. It was a sign of trust, a sign of responsibility. But life was still hard. Wars happened. Armies broke doors. A lock could not stop everything. It could not stop fire. It could not stop force. It only worked when people respected it. Dear listener, think about that for a moment. A lock only works because most people agree not to break it. That quiet agreement shaped society. By the 1700s, Europe saw new ideas. People began thinking more about security. Security means protection from harm, not just for food, but for money, for banks. In England, as a man named Robert Barron changed the world of locks. He invented a double-acting tumbler lock. A tumbler is a small piece inside the lock that must move to the right position. His design made it harder to pick. Later, Joseph Bramah created an even more complex lock. He was so confident that he offered a prize. He said no one could open his lock. For many years, no one could. Then, after decades, a skilled man finally opened it. This quiet competition pushed innovation forward. Innovation means new ideas that improve something. Locks became smaller, stronger, smarter. In America, Linus Yale and his son changed everything again. They created the pin tumbler lock we still use today. Small pins inside, a flat metal key with cuts. Simple outside, complex inside. And now, as the world moved into the modern age, keys were everywhere. In homes, in factories, in schools, in diaries. A diary is a private book where someone writes thoughts. Imagine the comfort of locking your secrets inside a small book. Imagine a young girl in the 1800s turning a tiny brass key and feeling safe. But the story does not end there, because metal keys were only the beginning of something even more invisible. And as cities grew taller and lives grew faster, the idea of locking changed again. The key itself began to disappear. And that is where our next chapter begins. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, cities became louder and more crowded. Buildings grew higher. Apartments stood side by side. Strangers lived only a wall away. Privacy became more precious. The small metal key felt more important than ever. Factories produced thousands of locks. Machines cut keys with exact shapes. A factory is a large building where many workers make goods. What once was handmade by a blacksmith now rolled out in long rows. Locks became normal, almost invisible again. Banks used heavy steel vaults. A vault is a strong room for money. The doors were thick and round. They had complex systems inside. Not just pins, but wheels and levers. A lever is a small metal arm that moves when pushed. Each lever had to sit in the correct place before the door opened. These vaults carried a silent promise. Your savings are safe. Your future is safe. At the same time, ordinary homes used simple keys. Children learned early. Do not lose your key. Losing a key meant trouble. It meant waiting outside. It meant fear. There is a quiet memory many people share. Standing at a locked door, searching every pocket, the small panic rising in the chest. Well, that moment shows how deeply we depend on this object. During wars, keys took on another meaning. In Europe, during the Second World War, families fled their homes. Many locked their doors before leaving. They carried their keys with them. They believed they would return. Some never did. In old cities today, you can find keys that belong to houses that no longer exist. People kept them for years, as symbols, as hope. That is one of the softest and saddest parts of this history. A key can hold memory. It can hold longing. Dear listener, think about a key you no longer use. Perhaps it belonged to a house from your childhood. Perhaps it opened a drawer at a job you left. Keys carry stories long after doors close. As the 1900s moved forward, technology changed again. Cars appeared. Cars needed keys, not just for doors, but for engines. You placed the key in a slot. You turned it. The engine started. A small twist began a journey across miles. This made the key more personal. It was not only about safety, it was about movement, freedom. Then came hotels with master keys. A master key can open many rooms. Only one person holds it. Power lives in that small piece of metal. Factories also used keys for machines. Offices had locked cabinets. Schools had locked classrooms. Society ran on quiet systems of trust and control. And yet the basic idea stayed the same. Teeth matching pins, shape matching shape. But slowly, something invisible entered the story: electricity. In the mid-1900s, engineers began using electric locks. Instead of only metal parts, there were wires. A wire carries electric current. A current is a flow of energy. You pressed a button. A door clicked open. Modern apartment buildings used buzzers. Someone downstairs pressed a button. You heard a sound. You pressed a switch. The door unlocked. The key was no longer always in your hand. By the late 1900s, plastic cards replaced metal in many places. Hotels gave guests key cards. You slid the card through a reader. A reader is a device that scans information. The door opened with a soft light. Inside the card was a magnetic strip. The strip stored data. Data means information stored in numbers. The lock read the data. If it matched, the door opened. No teeth, no metal cuts, just coded signals. This shift changed how we think about safety. A key could now be erased. Lost cards could be cancelled. Doors could be reprogrammed. Then came the digital age. Computers grew common. Phones became smart. And a smartphone is a mobile phone that works like a small computer. Now you can open doors with a code, with your fingerprint, with your face. Your fingerprint is the unique pattern on your finger. No two are the same. At least that is what we believe. A scanner reads it. If it matches stored data, the lock opens. Some homes use smart locks. You do not carry a key. Your phone connects through Bluetooth. Bluetooth is a short-range wireless signal. The door senses you near. It unlocks. This feels almost like magic. But here is something quiet to consider. As locks become smarter, they also become more complex. Complex means made of many parts that are hard to understand. In the past, you could hold a key. You could see it. You could feel its weight. Now your key might be a code in a cloud. A cloud means online storage. It lives on servers far away. Security now depends on invisible systems, on software, on passwords. Passwords are words or numbers that protect access. We type them daily, into phones, into laptops, into bank accounts. The lock has moved from wood to metal to light and numbers, and yet the purpose remains: to create a boundary. A boundary is a line that separates spaces. I sometimes wonder if we feel safer now, or more anxious. We lock our doors, we lock our phones, we lock our thoughts behind screens. At the same time, we share more than ever before. This is the quiet tension of modern life. In some cities, people no longer carry house keys. Buildings use face recognition. A camera scans your face. The system compares it to stored images. The door opens. In other places, people still use old iron keys, large and heavy, while the sound of metal in metal echoes in old streets. Both worlds exist at once. The key has become smaller, then invisible. But the human need has not changed. We still want to protect what matters. There is also another side. Keys can include people. When you give someone a key to your home, you show trust. You say, "You are welcome here." That simple act carries weight. In love, in friendship, in family life, the key becomes a sign, not of fear, but of belonging. And this is where the story turns gently inward. Because perhaps the first person who built a wooden lock did not know what they were starting. They were solving a problem about grain. But they were also shaping how humans think about space, about mine and yours, about inside and outside. As the digital age moves forward, some people speak about a world without keys. Doors that open by voice, by presence, by identity stored in chips under the skin. A chip is a tiny electronic device, very small. Some companies already test such systems. This sounds modern, even cold. Yet the heart of the matter stays simple. A key is a tool of trust. Trust in metal, trust in code, trust in agreement. The lock only works because most people accept it. And now we stand in a strange moment in history. A time when the key is both everywhere and nowhere. It sits in your pocket as a phone. It hides in numbers you memorize. It waits behind screens. And in this quiet shift from metal to data, something else begins to change. Not just how we open doors, but how we understand access itself. And that deeper change is what carries us into the final part of this story. When a door opens today, it often makes no sound. No metal turning, no click. A soft light flashes. A screen glows. The door unlocks because a system somewhere has decided that you belong. This feels normal now, yet it is a very new chapter in a very old story. In some offices, people tap a small card against a reader. In some homes, they speak a short command. In airports, machines scan faces and compare them to stored images. A computer decides in seconds, access granted or denied. The word access has become central to modern life. Access means permission to enter or use something. It can be a room, it can be a bank account, it can be a private message. In the past, access was heavy. It had weight. It hung from a belt. It rested in a pocket. Now it floats in invisible networks. A network is a system of connected computers. They speak to each other in signals. These signals move at great speed, faster than any hand turning a key. And yet, even with all this speed, the human feeling behind it has not changed much. We still pause for a moment before entering a space that matters to us. Our home after a long day, our room after a trip. There is always a small breath, a small shift from outside to inside. I think this moment is quiet but deep. The act of unlocking is a ritual A ritual is a repeated action that carries meaning. Even if we do not say it out loud, we feel it. We move from public to private, from noise to calm. In some ways, modern locks try to remove friction. Friction means resistance or difficulty. You do not need to search for keys. You do not need to carry metal. The system recognizes you. But something else grows in its place. Passwords multiply. Codes increase. Two-step verification appears. Verification means checking that something is true. You type a password, then you receive a message, then you enter another number. Security grows stronger, but also more demanding. There is a strange irony here. Irony means a situation that feels opposite to what we expect. We built locks to feel safe and relaxed. Yet many people today feel tired of remembering codes, afraid of hacking. Hacking means breaking into digital systems without permission. The battle between lockmakers and lockbreakers did not end. It only moved online. In the ancient world, a thief studied wooden pins. In the modern world, a hacker studies software code. The tools changed. The intention did not. And still, most of the time, systems work. Doors open for the right person. Bank accounts stay protected. Or private messages remain private. This works because of trust. Trust in technology. Trust in companies. Trust in invisible rules. Dear listener, think about how many times a day you unlock something. Your phone in the morning, your laptop at work, your home at night. Each time you accept a system without seeing inside it. We no longer see the pins. We no longer feel the weight of iron. We rely on lines of code written by people we will never meet. That can feel distant, even fragile. There is a soft, emotional truth here. We want safety, but we also want ease. We want protection, but we do not want walls that feel too thick. Some people now speak about digital privacy. Privacy means control over who sees your information. This conversation feels urgent to many, because in the digital world, data can travel far. I'm faster than any thief running through a street. And yet, even in this new world, the symbol of the key remains powerful. Look at icons on your phone. A small key appears next to secure websites. It tells you that your connection is safe. The image has survived thousands of years, from wood to bronze to metal to pixels on a screen. A pixel is a tiny dot of light on a display. Millions of pixels form the image of a key. The shape is the same. The meaning remains. Sometimes people give a large key to a city guest. It is a ceremony. The key to the city is symbolic. It does not open any door. It opens welcome. In weddings, couples speak about giving each other the key to their heart. It is poetic. It means trust. It means closeness. So even as technology changes, the key stays in language, in culture, in our imagination. And now, let us return to something simple. Tonight, you may place your key on a table, or you may set your phone down. That object carries a long history. It carries Mesopotamian wood, Egyptian pins, Roman rings, medieval iron, industrial steel, digital code. All of that lives quietly in your hand. This is not just a story about locks and metal. It is a story about how humans learned to create boundaries, about how we shaped space, about how we tried to balance fear and trust. When the first wooden lock slid into place, a new idea entered the world. The idea that we could define inside and outside, mine and yours. That idea grew with cities, with wealth, with love letters, with diaries hidden under beds, with families leaving homes and holding keys as memory. It grew into bank vaults and hotel cards, into fingerprints and face scans. and now it sits lightly in your pocket. There is one more quiet thought. A lock does not only keep others out, it also allows us to feel safe enough to rest, to sleep, to think freely. Without that small feeling of safety, it is hard to relax. Perhaps that is why the key matters so much. Not because it blocks the world, but because it allows a space where we can breathe. Next time you turn a key or touch your phone to open a door, notice the pause. Notice the shift from outside to inside. Notice the simple trust in a small object. For a moment, you may feel connected to a farmer in ancient Mesopotamia, to a Roman merchant, to a medieval blacksmith, to a child writing secrets in a locked diary. The sound may be soft, the light may blink quickly, but the story behind it is long and deeply human, and in that quiet click or silent signal, you are not just opening a door, you are repeating an ancient ritual.